Hey everybody, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be Ninja Gaiden II for the NES, a sword-only run, very much like my recent Ninja Gaiden 1 Let's Play of the same nature. Big shout out to Patreon backer Sleeves of War for recommending this one, just like he did with Ninja Gaiden 1, so thank you Sleeves for that. This should be a fun run. It is very difficult compared to the sword-only Ninja Gaiden 1 run. This is actually, I think, my 5th attempt at recording this playthrough, and I just keep getting wrecked by the game. I mean, I didn't get any continues, but when I die 5 or 6 times and make really dumb mistakes, I think to myself, why do I want to post this? So I'm going to try it again. And so we're trying it yet again. This is going to be one of those videos where I just have to do it over and over and over again. But that goes to show how difficult this is. You know, a lot of Let's Plays I do, I just knock them out just like on my first try. But with challenges like this, it's not so smooth sailing. And we'll just kind of hope for the best here and see how this goes. So, Ninja Gaiden 2 overall is a much easier game than the first one, unless you strip away your power-ups. You strip away the power-ups, the game is much, much harder. Sword only. So it's got greater knockback, so when you get hit by enemies, you get pushed back way farther than you do in the first game. It's very easy to get overwhelmed in this game as well, compared to the first one. You'll have 5-6 enemies on screen at once, usually birds flying around the screen. It's just very difficult to get control over. So again, we'll see how this goes. If you're a Ninja Gaiden 2 expert, but you haven't really tried doing a run like this, I recommend doing a run like this. It is pretty interesting, and it'll definitely throw you for a loop. For sure. You'll have to relearn the game all over again. So, but before we jump into things, as usual, I'd like to give a big shout out to my current Patreon backers. So they're going to go ahead and just flash by the screen. Thank you guys for your continued support. Likewise with our recent live stream super chatters and our current channel members. So thank you guys for your patronage as well. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. One thing I'd like to mention right off the bat is you do start with a little bit of Ninpo, 10, and you always start with shurikens in this game. So what I like to do is get rid of my shurikens first things first, because when you cling onto walls in this game, you can accidentally use your shurikens. Unlike the first Ninja Gaiden, Ryu can actually use his projectiles while hanging onto walls in this version. A lot of times what will happen is I'll be on a wall, I'll press the B button by accident, and I'll end up throwing a shuriken and killing some enemy off to the side of the screen, and I don't want to do that. If I do accidentally do that, I'm not going to worry about it, specifically if it's like an enemy that's just kind of like out of the way and I've already passed them. It's not really a big deal, but I'd rather just avoid it completely. So that's one little trick I do when I try to do this run. Alright, so on to our first boss. Bosses are just the usual patternistic guys they normally are. So I like to get up to him, swipe him a few times, then grab onto that wall. And if I time it just right, if I do it just right, I can basically kill him after that first cycle. And we're going to go ahead and skip all the cutscenes in this as well. And so for the first level in the game, you can actually, jump over a lot of the enemies to make that first level a little bit easier. And, you can even carry that into the second level as well. Although from, I'd say, stage 2 and on, you really have to start, focusing on actually killing the enemies in the game. Otherwise, you'll just end up getting knocked into pits left and right, or you'll take a lot more damage than you would ideally want to. And you definitely want all the health you can get by the time you get to a boss fight. And so that's going to be really important as well. I know where most of the health potions are. So health potions will give you probably about 1/3 of your health back. And there's going to be one here near the end of this level as well. So it's really, really important to know where they are if you want to try to get through this consistently without continuing. And we're basically using these wind patterns to our advantage. If you've never played Ninja Gaiden 2 before, if you've only played it a very little bit, the wind always starts off blowing to the left when you go onto a new screen. And then it'll stop, and then it'll start blowing to the right. And then it'll basically go left, right, left, back to back, really quickly like that. So now it's going to go left, right, left. Or, sorry, right, left, right. There we go. Just like that. And we're going to actually have to wait. I wasn't fast enough. So it should blow to the left right now. Yeah, now we have to wait for it to blow to the right if we want to make this jump. Otherwise, this jump is pretty much impossible. Alright. So we've taken a lot of damage, but it's not really a big deal because there is going to be a health refill right here. This one that's sort of just floating in the air between those two platforms. Just like that. And let me get rid of this, so we don't accidentally use it on the boss fight. And so every time you hit this guy, he'll either jump down or jump up depending on the part of the screen he's on. And you just kind of want to watch out for these spiders that he tosses out. This is actually probably one of the more interesting boss fights in the game. I know his patterns aren't very complex, but having the wind mechanic in play really makes for an interesting dynamic. Because when you want to jump off a wall like that to swipe at him, you know, where you're going to jump off from is going to depend on, you know, which way the wind is blowing. It's really interesting. There's also another boss later on in the game that is similar in that you know, you're dealing with water physics, which is pretty cool as well. For NES games, it was actually pretty impressive. You didn't see, you know, physics implementations like that very often with NES games. You had a little bit like that in, say, you know, Castlevania 3. There were some water physics towards the end of that game. Not even towards the end of that game. It just kind of depended on the route you took. But yeah, it's not something you saw a lot in games like that. You saw a little bit of Mega Man 2, actually, with Metal Man stage, the conveyor belts. If anything, though, conveyor belts were usually more common, but wind, on the other hand, definitely not something you saw utilized very often in the NES. So, Ninja Gaiden 2 was really a step up from the original game, from an aesthetic standpoint and from, I don't want to say like a gimmicky standpoint, but like, you know, physics and things like that were definitely, you know, enhanced in ways over the first one. Again, things like your wind physics and whatnot. And we're gonna just jump right here. I'm never fast enough to get over to that guy to swipe him, so I always jump right as I land in his face. And we're gonna try to hit this guy. And we gotta watch out for these birds. These birds are really, really dangerous in this game. Definitely some of the most dangerous enemies in the game. Now, I don't really mind, like, losing a lot of health like I have here. I think I'll be fine. There's gonna be an extra life over here, actually, as well. So what I want to do is try to get over here. And I want to try to get rid of this guy. Oh, we despawned him. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you can actually do that. I actually did it on my previous run, one of my previous failed runs, failed Let's Play runs. And it was the first time I had ever seen that, so that was actually something I learned while doing the Let's Play. Trying to do the Let's Play anyway. So normally I would just damage boost my way up, but I have no health, so I want to get up here and grab the health. It's actually this one right here. Bam. So this actually might give us enough health to kill this boss without too much trouble. And unfortunately, I took another hit there. Okay. Alright, well, we'll see what we can do here. I only have just a very few amount of chances here, but we'll see what happens. This guy is really not that hard. It's just time-consuming if you want to do it without taking much damage. So kind of like that. We can just, you know, take our sweet time if we want. Now, one other thing you do have to worry about, though, is you can't take too much time because, and I always forget this, because I never even get close to this ever happening when I play this game normally, but you can run out of time in this game. So that is definitely something I have to be aware of on bosses like this. Alright, well, that worked out, so... Alright, so this level is actually one of the toughest in the game for me. So you really want to have a good rhythm here, and a good idea on exactly what you need to do. So lots of little crawling enemies on this level. They're probably the most dangerous enemies on the stage. These guys right here, they're not too bad, but it's the little bouncy crawly enemies that will basically overwhelm you. And then bats, of course. Bats are always the bane of my existence in these games, along with the birds. Sometimes the bats could actually be harder to deal with, though. Let's actually get rid of my shurikens as well. I forgot about that. But these little crawly guys, they're tough. Alright, so this part right here, I'm going to try to smack that guy just like that. That's very, very tight timing right there. So, but you really need to get rid of him, otherwise those fireballs gang up on you, and they just sit right on top of you. And as you try to get up onto the flooring, they'll hit you and knock you into the pit. So, and on this part, it's really just about taking your time. As you saw, there were a couple of bats, bird bats, whatever you want to call them. So you've got like little Castlevania type of bats in a way, where they just sort of like float up and down. And then you've got bats, like on that previous stage, that are a little more like your regular birds, but it looks like the sprite work is done in the form of a bat. So it actually seems like you have multiple kinds of bats in this game. Whereas in Ninja Gaiden 1, it's just birds and bats, that's it. We're gonna actually damage boost up here, just like that. If you just time your jump right, you can actually get boosted up, which is really sweet. So let's go ahead and do it again to get a free extra life. And there's gonna be a health refill right here in this one. And I always just fall right off. I'll get a free damage boost, and then I always jump towards the edge of that waterfall. And just jump straight over before that little guy starts moving. If that little guy starts moving and he hits you, it's guaranteed death. You will get hit, and you will fall to your death in that pit. Alright, close to the boss fight now. There we go. Good stuff so far. Actually, this is a really good run. All things considered. I mean, if you... Well, might not be all that good to expert players out there, but, you know, if you saw my previous runs, you'd be like, wow, okay, yeah, this is way better. I should really do, like, a Let's Play outtakes reel. Yeah, like, this is what I have to go through when I record these videos for you guys. Alright. 1, 2, and then just one more. There we go. Alright. Making progress. Alright, so these next few stages can be pretty tough as well, especially the ice-themed level, which we're going to be going to shortly. Let me get rid of the shurikens. And I'm going to come down here and actually sort of swipe this guy like that. If you try to jump over and land to his right, he will hit you, and he'll knock you into that middle pit, which is bad. And we're just going to take our time here on this stage. Oops, not like that. And there's going to be an extra life right here as well. Nice. That's actually a really tough extra life to get. I'm very inconsistent at getting that. Now, one thing I found to be really interesting about this is, and I didn't know this was a thing until I started doing sword-only runs, if enemies are stacked on top of each other, or enemies and projectiles are stacked on top of each other, you can't kill both with one sword swipe. Like right there, there were those orange, you know, leech-looking things on the walls. I only killed one, even though my sword was right on top of both. And that goes for boss fights as well. There are boss fights in this game, one that's going to be coming up relatively shortly, where, you know, there's going to be a projectile layered on top of the boss, and you'll only hurt the projectile, not the boss himself. So you're not getting any two-for-one deals in this game when you're attacking enemies. Now, that's really important to know that, because you will take damage, or you'll get hit, and you'll get knocked into a pit. Say if you have two enemies layered on top of each other and you think you're going to kill both, Well, you're not. You're only going to kill one, then get hit by the second one that's layered behind the enemy you killed. I know that's probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, you know, as I talk about it, but, you know, if you play the game a lot and, you know, you understand the enemy locations and layouts and whatnot, you'll notice it happening. So this is Char. He's kind of a pain, to be honest with you. He's probably my least favorite boss in the game, sword only, because it's difficult to do this without taking a hit. But sometimes you can get a good, you know, a good pattern where he just sort of sits in the middle. But it's really a crapshoot as to where, you know, where he spawns and where the fireballs come in from. So one trick I use is just try to cling up onto one of these pillars towards the top, and a lot of times, you know, he'll be far enough away to where the fireballs coming in won't actually hurt you. So kind of like this. Not bad. Not great, but not bad either. I'll take it. And this level could be pretty challenging as well. Lots of projectile-based enemies, lots of birds, lots of fast-moving running guys. And some of these little crawly dudes as well. That was really close. Almost got knocked into that pit. Now, I don't think there are any health potions here, or on the next stage, so if you're trying to get, say, a one life clear, this is probably one of the toughest parts in the game. Like, even the final stage, which is really challenging, you know, sword only, it has 2 health refills, so, whereas this does not. Or if it does, I just couldn't find them, which is entirely possible too. You know, I didn't study this run, you know, like crazy or anything like that. I just played it a bunch of times on Twitch, and there were some scenes where, you know, I tried looking for the health potions and whatnot. One of them was on this stage right here, and I am pretty sure there aren't any health potions on this stage. So I definitely want to try to get through this with as much life as I can, although the boss fight's not too bad, as long as you heed my advice about the projectiles being layered on top of enemies. And you'll see exactly what I mean once we get to the boss. We're actually right at the boss right now, so okay, we should be fine. Okay, so this is a recreation of a boss from the first Ninja Gaiden, but the guy that's weak is actually on the right this time, whereas in Ninja Gaiden 1, he's on the left. So, and what's interesting, in Ninja Gaiden 1, these guys shoot projectiles, but they always shoot projectiles when they're in the air. In Ninja Gaiden 2, they shoot projectiles when they're on the ground. So, you want to sit on the ground and attack their projectiles first. Just like that. So just wait, attack a projectile, and then go for the one that is weak or vulnerable. Yeah, so in a sword-only run, it's more about being safe than it is, you know, being fast or risky or whatnot. So this is actually technically the last stage in the game, guys, so, you know, good stuff so far. Let's go ahead and kill the bird, get rid of our shurikens. Okay, there we go. It's one reason why you just want to get rid of your shurikens at the beginning of a stage, not after, like, you get into the level itself. Oh, that's not good. Okay. Alright, we're fine. Alright, this last section actually isn't too bad. There's a running guy from behind, just like that. There are a couple of birds and bats. And if you take the top route here, you can actually grab yourself an extra life, but we don't really need it right now. Now, if we can sort of bide our time and get to, like, the second or third screen on this final stage, we can get ourselves some extra health. Alright. Well, it's looking good so far. Oh, we have to kill ourselves. Oh, I'm sitting there, I was panicking, I was like, oh, we might get a 1 life clear. This is actually the best I've ever done on this run. And I got a power up thinking maybe it was going to be health. See, this is why you need to know where your health pickups are. And, but there's an extra life right here. Oh man, that was awful. And I'm an idiot because the health refill is right there, I just got it. See, that's the other thing about this run, is things can get really tense, and you start forgetting where things are, and you start misjudging things, and that's exactly what happened. If I just persevered and just pushed forward, we would have been fine. We would have gotten that health. We would have made it up to here, which is where another health pickup is as well. So I'm going to wait and try to jump over this guy. So the other health pickup is actually right here. Just like that. So we should have enough health to do this, though. Hopefully on our first try. But this is probably one of the toughest parts on a sword-only run on this game. Is fighting Jackio here. So one thing I like to do is just cling onto the wall here. You won't actually get hit. And then I'll just sort of take my time. Kind of like this. Yeah, and unlike the first Ninja Gaiden, the hitbox on Jackio himself is not big at all. It's basically that star right in the middle. So you have to have very good accuracy on him. The first Ninja Gaiden, there would be a big gap between you and your sword and his body, and you would still hit him. That's how large the hitbox was in that game. But not in this game. So this boss isn't too bad here. You know, the droplets from the ceiling, they go in the exact same pattern all the time. So basically from the left to right. And then he shoots out this ball from his mouth, you know, once every few moments. Again, you gotta fight these bosses, you know, back to back, but they each only take away 1 hit point every time you, you know, you get hit. So they're not super, super dangerous. You just follow the pattern, take your time. And we're just gonna duck right here, just like that, just take our time. There we go. Alright, final stretch. And unlike Ninja Gaiden 1, you don't have a ability in this game where you can press down and attack over and over to swipe faster in the air. But that's it! Man, that was really close to being a 1 life clear. And, but hey, I'm still pretty happy with that run. Like I said, Ninja Gaiden 2 Sword Only is very, very difficult. And to get even a 1 death clear on that, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm definitely pretty happy with that, so I'll take it. And apparently, lawn service is outside doing their thing right now. So kind of a bad time to record a Let's Play, but hopefully you guys didn't hear too much of that over the course of the playthrough. So yeah, I guess I'm going to go ahead and just cut it off right here. I'm not even going to really bother letting the ending roll out. You know, if you guys missed my Ninja Gaiden 1 Sword Only run, feel free to check that out as well, and definitely stay tuned for Ninja Gaiden 3 Big Sword Only. I tried doing that, regular sword only, and just found it to be too difficult right now to do a Let's Play on, so I have to practice it and practice it and practice it. But I did do it with the big sword consistently, so we're going to go ahead and do that sometime in the near future as well, so stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the playthrough. If you're brand new to my channel, consider subscribing. I've got a lot of Let's Plays on the channel and many more to come, as well as live streams. For everyone already subbed, thank you for your continued support. I hope you guys continue to enjoy these videos. And until the next one, take it easy.